Sometimes a single character can change the whole vibe of a show, whether that is one character like Levi from Attack on Titan, or a whole group of people like the Phantom Troop from Hunter x Hunter. When they're on screen, you're promised a good time. What happens when that character is the main character though? I'm not gonna pretend that this hasn't been done before, because I can literally think of an example that's airing at the same time. The Apothecary Diaries though feels different. Dare I say, it's the very concept executed as well as it can be. A main character full of charm in a world that was essentially made for them to shine. The setting of this anime is extremely isekai-pilled. Ancient China, MC with an exceptional knowledge of poison and drugs rising up the ranks at a palace? This screams of every single power fantasy isekai MC ever. There are a few things where I feel like this anime manages to stand out though. Maomao is a lot of things. She's perceptive, knowledgeable, and overall just a whole mood, but her relatability doesn't lend itself to the typical self-insert you would expect. I don't find myself envying the position she is in getting kidnapped and all, and do actually feel happy viewing the story as a spectator. Being a worker in the palace sounds hard enough, and the role of a poison taster has to be one of the most expendable roles in the entire business. She has it rough, and the story doesn't exactly contradict itself, mentioning several times how difficult the job can truly be. The internal politics, the overall lack of knowledge around poison, it's set in a difficult time in history, and Maomao is only able to survive due to her exceptional knowledge and character. I don't feel bad admitting that I expected far less from this anime, something along the lines of Maomao casually being admitted higher and higher with no real troubles along her way, taking over the palace and its internal medical department. The usual song and dance, which I mean wouldn't even be a bad story. It could have just gone down the predictable path, which I mean I understand the irony that it still could, and it would still end up as an interesting story to me. No matter how watered down the plot could have or may become, it still has the strengths to hold its own. One thing that does stand true though is that Maomao certainly isn't your typical self-insert protagonist. So far she's had her own challenges, and the resolution hasn't just been her being more knowledgeable. It does try to show a more realistic angle in how hard it is to convince people, and in its latest episodes I feel like the plot has taken a few bolder approaches with the conflicts in the story. The plot isn't the only reason Maomao shines though. In fact, to me, the plot is almost secondary to her actual character. Her attitude towards the people around her, whether that is with Jinshi or with anyone else, her overall love for poisons, she is just different. A unique approach to a main character where she comes off as extremely interesting. I don't believe I've overstated her role as the solo carry in this anime, because she just is one. The anime is all about her, and she is the anime itself. It is an intentional choice that when done wrong could easily get boring after the novelty of the character wears off, and overall I think it's a bold decision by the author. While the plot isn't hugely important for me liking her character, I can still appreciate how it lends itself to Maomao being the way she is. And yet it isn't just about her being smart or about her knowledge either. Maomao clearly knows and understands her place in the palace, and all her interactions are portrayed in the same way. When the time comes to step up and deliver, she's able to do that too. It's safe to say that there was a lot of love put into Maomao's character. She's definitely the star of the story, and it's clear that the writing is aware of it. Overall, she definitely slaps. The solo carrying of Maomao aside though, the other characters in the show are also definitely worth mentioning. None of them played a huge role in the anime in terms of their actual significance to the plot, but a key factor here is how good their writing feels regardless. The palace setting feels realistic, the concubines, the soldiers, the maidens, they all feel like they truly exist in the world shown, and they all feel bigger than whatever subplot exists at the moment. Everyone in the show belongs and acts how you would expect them to. It also keeps enough room for the little interactions in the story, which feel like they come at no cost of any other elements in the show. There is a significant amount of detail in the actual show about things specific to ancient China and the internal structure of the palace to help keep it feeling authentic. The politics of the palace, the quack doctor, the various customs that take place, The world of this anime is very convincing, and it is far better than I ever expected it to be. Not that I have the knowledge of ancient China to a level where I can criticize the minor details anyway, but what's more important is that the show understands what matters. The customs themselves don't matter, but you know what does? The young princess not wanting to eat fish matters. The maidens wanting to use powder matters. The story doesn't overstep its bounds where it doesn't need to. Everything that occurs is believable and grounded, even down to every single subplot. I started this anime and for a while I expected it to be everyone in the story just being there for the sake of conflict and creating drama to progress Maomao through the palace. The approach it did take though is far better than that. It made Maomao shine just that much brighter by making the other characters three-dimensional. So then you may ask, what is the catch? In the grand scheme of things, I might say that there isn't really a catch. If you watch this anime to have a good time, I think it's safe to say that you will have the good time you were promised. With an S-tier main character, a fantastic world and supporting cast, there isn't that much to complain about with this anime. It doesn't try to be pretentious and knows exactly what kind of story it wants to tell, achieving the balance with the smart knowledge-based plot resolution and overall fun character interactions along the way. If there was a missing piece in all of this though, I would say it would be the bigger picture. Maomao is a genius when it comes down to it, and I said I predicted it to be a journey of her being at the top of the palace in some way. Whether that is the angle it wants to take or not, I would like to see what it can cook in terms of the end goal here. While the smaller, almost episodic conflicts so far have been extremely nuanced in their own way and fun to watch, I would like to see where the ambition in this anime lies, if at all, and how it gets around to getting there. If what makes it stand out now is the extremely interesting and unique main character and the believable setting and characters around her, I have no reason to believe that the writing would struggle in the future, but I'm also equally worried if it ends up being as enjoyable in a few episodes where the novelty of Maomao has worn off and it tries to be ambitious with a bigger plot. So while this is a resoundingly positive impression from me, I'm also looking forward to what it can achieve in its 24 episode span and whether that is as satisfying as it is in this moment. I believe it could have the potential to be an S-tier anime if something drastically changes, but even if it stays the way it is right now, I can say for certain that it is a happy A-tier anime anyway. And I don't consider an A-tier anime to be wasted potential. As always guys, I know I've had a big break before this video, so I hope you guys enjoyed this one and my return. And thank you all for watching, watch out for more videos, peace.